The Nigerian education system witnessed tremendous expansion between independence in 1960 and 1995. However, the rates declined after 1986 when economic depression resulted in the introduction of structural adjustment program. Population explosion, frequent changes in the government due to military coups, a depression economy, and unplanned and uncontrolled educational expansion. All this have contributed to the educational crisis in Nigeria. On this episode of Burning Issues, we will be talking about the educational crisis in Nigeria, but that will be after a short break. I am Pleasure Iwereji. We will be back in a moment. Welcome back, still Burning Issues on Kaftan Television, and the topic of this discourse is the educational crisis in Nigeria. And my guests for today are Adishola Omojeje, a historian from Adeyemi College of Education. You're welcome.
It's a pleasure.
Nice having you in the studio once again.
Nice meeting you.
How are you feeling?
Well, I'm fine.
Okay, I equally have someone in the house in the person of Temitope Kolawole, a developmental economist. You're welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Now, so far from your profile, it's known that you work with children, and whenever you get to work with children specifically, that means you are actually focusing towards your education. Yes. And my question to you is, what do you think about the educational system in Nigeria?
Yeah, fundamentally, we have to take it from the get-go, where the essentials and the reason for formal education in the country. And if you look at it very well, what was the intent at why we need Western education in the country? From research, it's just the ability to be able to read and write and fitting into roles which the British want you to fit in. But in the actual sense of education, has it really answered the problem? Has it really solved the problem of today? No. So definitely, we're running an educational system that's not sustainable. We've introduced many programs that should be encouraging, but because the foundation is not really solid enough, so we will still staggering, trying to push out.
So we'll get to that part where you talked about we're running an educational system that is not stable enough. Let me get to Mojeja's view on this. Now, you've heard him so far. What do you think about this point?
Well, there is a purpose for everything. And Nigeria has a purpose for, making education a kind of a viable phenomenon or things that should be pursued, especially. Okay. And then the colonial people had another thing in mind. The idea of the colonialists was to develop the Nigerian system of education, to take a kind of second fiddle to their own. Then training of Nigerian people in their ways, maybe they said written, arithmetic, and those kind of things. It was designed.
Writing, reading, and arithmetic.
Exactly. It was. It is not mathematically oriented.
Okay.
Nigerians are not to be developed scientifically.
Now, before you proceed, you're talking about the education the colonialists introduced into Nigeria not being mathematically oriented. Yes. Are you trying to say that for any nation to be developed, they really need science in quotes?
Of course, science and technology are the basic necessities that will enhance development astronomically.
Okay.
Because you need science and technology, you need extremity of those things to make you to explore the world, to explore the what is inside the water and what is in the mass. And so it is as a result of this that a nation is, premised. But the British, especially after their encounter with the Americans, so the fact remains that they will not want a replica of what happened between them and America. That they started themselves, the Americans started themselves away from the British, and then they started going places on their own. So when they came to Nigeria, they try as much as possible to develop Nigerians to take a kind of second fiddle, so that they will be going and Nigeria will be following. And then the dictates, whatever they say, will be what Nigeria will follow. That exactly explains the kind of education system in Nigeria, which is not good, ordinarily, because it will bring about further underdevelopment.
Okay.
So, and that is exactly what is happening in Nigeria even up to today.
All right, let me ask Temitope this question. In your earlier explanation, you talked about that the educational system in Nigeria is not sustainable. What were you trying to talk about?
Yeah, so many times we try to run a scholarship system. We try to create an environment where people can have access to education, as the history have it that the then Awolowo and all of them and the likes of them, the Akintola of this world, they all went through all this free educational system. This is a very good one, but the reality is that these processes are not sustainable. So what can we do differently? What is obtainable in the Western world? What kind of educational system are we running? Then what are the give back methods? What I mean is this: when you introduce a child into a school, it is fundamental that a child from primary school to GSS3 is very, very compulsory, and that's a point where you need the counselor to come up and say, okay, fine, this is where the child fits in. The counselor, I'll get there. Yeah, it has to do with parenting and the counselor working together to discover a child at early stage, because every child that's between the age of 5 to 15 always show a trait and on interest where they actually want to go. So if parenting, if we give more attention to parenting and guidance and counseling, we will see that you can always tame a child towards that place with which they are interested. It takes little effort to make that kind of child yeah. So now going to where we actually get it wrong. Okay, fine. Let's say that, okay, fine. Let's agree that we get the fundamentals right. And now we want to put these children back to school. Then what's our GDP saying? What our GNP saying? So if let's assume that everything is okay. So now you've put these children to school. You say, okay, fine, you are in SS2, you are in GSS1, you are in year 1 in school, you are in 200 level. Then why is the government not thinking of how to start introducing what I call human capital system, investing in individual? Why don't you turn these children, why don't you turn these pupils into an asset for you at the end of the day? Number one, what it does for you immediately is that it takes the stress off the parent, then it makes it an investment for you as a government later. Do you understand? This is how it works. You've invested you've rented from me in year 1, let's say from my primary school till I graduate from school. Definitely when I'm done from school, I am owing you.
Definitely.
Yeah, I am owing you. Yes, I've enjoyed free education. Then so you make sure that you get a job for me. You get? So when you start paying me back, when you start paying me, I start paying you back 20% of everything you have spent over let's say 20 years. Yeah. Those are sustainable plans which we should encourage in an economic system, not just to say that I've given scholarship, I have given. How are these things sustainable? So we can't blame it on the older generations that what they enjoyed in their time. Those are privileges. There are times even when the Israelites when they entered the desert, manna came. At a point, they have to work for something themselves. Manna will not keep coming. So manna will not keep coming. So we have to sit down and stop expecting manna or freebies. So we have to, as a country, as a people, we have to see, okay, fine, this is how this thing works. Then until we imbibe on this human capital system, on investing on people, individuals, we are not going anywhere.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, looking at the educational system in Nigeria, what do you think about the national policy on education?
Is there a policy on education? The problem...
That's the 6334.
Yeah, I get it. The 6334 without proper guidance and counseling. The 6334 without close parenting. I'm telling you, it's a failure itself. Okay. I'm a product of this. So I can say practically that... okay, let's say we pass through 6, then we jump to 3. You know, by 3 you have to decide if you want to focus on sciences, if you want to focus on businesses, that's commercial. Then if you want to focus on art, do you get? So that at that point, if you have failed as a parent, if you have failed as a guardian and a counselor, at that point it tells you one thing, that you have failed here. Then how do you show it to other people? Come on. when I was in the SS3,
Okay.
I have this best friend of mine, Wally. We always want to be together. We're 5 and 6, and the truth is that this guy naturally, you know, the father is a physician, and
Okay.
naturally this guy enjoy to do this thing with stress to do. Do you get? So he has this natural love for this black and red and yellow. I don't even know how to do anything. It takes me extra time to find out what can I do with yellow, yeah. You know, you get. But I have to follow Wale to science class. It tells you that there's a gap there. So these are the things that bet my interest in education. Like, we can't leave children vulnerable at the point that they need the guardian more. These are grooming stages. These are stages we have to help these children to grow. What are the areas that this person is so vocal? What are the areas that this person puts little effort and gets more results? So if we have failed in those areas, so all this one we are now seeing, they are just what do you call it? They are just samples of the very bad time to come. Yes, they're just sign of. So, because if you look at the problem in South,
Okay.
it's different from the problem in Southwest.
Southwest.
If you look at Southwest, the classes are filled up with dilapidated building.
Okay.
If you look at South, you will see
And you go to
teachers
the
in
north,
school
like-
they are not well trained.
Yeah.
If you go to the north, be it central, be it east, whatever it is called, there is this refusal to go to school as
Yeah.
attached that maybe because of the Almajiri system, maybe because of the fear.
Both the classes and the people are
I
dilapidated.
But don't think that's derogatory. We're talking about human beings here.
Yeah.
No, it's not derogatory.
It's not
It's not
derogatory.
derogating.
Okay.
So these are
We are just talking
these are
about the wretched. We are just
fundamentals.
talking about
So
the wretched of the
no matter how we want to go through the historical means, the SAP and the rest of it, there is human error which needs to be corrected before we go forward. Yes.
Now, you've heard Temitope so far with his explanation. What did you think about his points?
Yeah, you see, I will, at this point, I will not run away from the fact that he has made. You see, the fact is, functionality is very important. He talked about human capital investment. And that is exactly what is wrong in Nigerian system of education. You see, this 6334 education system is a very good system of education. But if it is followed to the letter, stricto sensu, if it is done like that, it will bring, in fact, that was the kind of system that the Americans before Richard Nixon went into. And that was the kind of educational system which Richard Nixon keyed into and took them to the space. And then you know what America is today. But our kind of 6334 education system probably was designed, to separate those that will be in the science class, those that will be in the art class, those that will be in the commercial class, those that will feature well in the technological aspect of it, so that every sector will function well where he finds himself. But along the line, probably because of the ineptitude, probably because of our government attitude, all those equipment that were to make them function became rotten there, especially. Now, I didn't go through the 6334.
Okay.
I went through the class 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
Okay.
system.
Now, okay, we just have to go on a short break. And when we get back, I'm going to ask you if the educational system you went through was better off compared to the 6334.
Okay.
But this will go on a short break. And when we get back, you get to hear more from us. We will be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back, still burning issues on Captain Television. And in case you're just joining us, we have been talking on the topic, the educational crisis in Nigeria. And my guest for today has been Temitope, Kolawole, and Adishola Omojeje. Now, before we went on the break, you were talking about the educational system you went through. You said you didn't go through the 6-3-3-4, and I asked you if that educational system you were talking about happened to be better off than the 6-3-3-4.
Of course, the way the 6-3-3-4 education system is running now, I think that one is better off, because that one you start from class or from 1 in the secondary school, and then you spend 5 years in the secondary school. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Now, when I got to class 3, and then about crossing to the last 2 years, we were made to choose subjects. Those who will go to sciences, those who will go to the art, and those who will go to the commercials. And so at that time, there will be a kind of class, there will be a distinction between those in the sciences, those in the literary art, and those in the commercial. So there are subjects that you will take. But the beauty of it is that after the 5th class, there is still 2 years remedial classes, which is called upper 6, lower 6, and upper 6. They are the HSC, higher school certificate, where you are treated with advanced knowledge. So when you pass through the 2 classes, so upper 6, lower 6, and upper 6, and you are able to pass very well, you will not pass through JAM, you go through direct entry, and you get to part 2. So the educational system then was very fine compared to the kind of 3 years in the junior secondary, 3 years in the senior secondary, where the 2 classes of remedial of the higher school certificate have been embedded into the 6-3-3-4 education system. And I think the idea of setting up 6-3-3-4 education system was to bring about the technological aspect, so that the polytechnics and the universities of technology will have the students from technical schools in the secondary schools. But nowadays, it is not like that. All of them are
because even when you go to the polytechnics, you can't even decipher between a polytechnic and a university.
And a conventional university.
I think that's where the problem actually started from. Yeah, what I mean is this. When you, with your generation, I have a whole lot of problem with your generation. Yes, you unpick people to like how do you check the quality of people? You check the quality of people, not looking at their passion, not looking at their interest. You check the quality of people by the grades they've put on ground. Now, this is it. You send the A's to go to the universities, A, B. You ask them to go to the university. You send the C's to go to Polytechnic. Now you have sent the D and the E to go to the College of Education. Sir, look at it progressively. What the D and E end up to be the one, they are their teachers, arguably. So now, what quality of A? Because there will be A, because we believe in what they put on the ground. So now we have D and E in college education now. They finish from school, we get them posted to rural, urban area to be teachers. Now, this same D and E, we produce another A. But the quality of that A is not the same quality with the initial A that went to university. That university we talked about. No, that's what actually happened. That was how the digression started when it comes to the quality of people, quality of graduates. Yeah, up to now. So now this year you produce a low quality A, a low quality B, a low quality C. Now, next year again, we still have a very low D and E. Okay. A very low D and E go to college education again, and they produce another lower quality of A, lower quality of B. Because now we're not still getting this problem very well, because we have to focus on people's interests and what they love to do. I think that's where the initial problem actually starts from. Then, if you want to judge by who scores the A, who is more of the B, they go to the university, and so that's why we've been going through the same circle. And every year you see that it's getting more deteriorated. Yeah,
but it may not be that it is the lower quality.
So how many kids, even your children want to go to dream of going to a college of education or a polytechnic. I'm sure none of your kids are in polytechnic or
the fact remains that during my own generation, it is not the lower quality people that goes to college of education or this thing. There are high sounding that choose to go, because you even in the university, those that you say have A's and B's, and at the end of the day, by the time they get to where they want to work, if they do not have, morale boosters, their morale will dwindle. There's no doubt about it. What makes Nigeria education system Nigeria education to be like this, to be in crisis like this, is the attitude of the government, not the attitude of the people. It is right. The interest is not adequately taken care of, and that explains the reason. But when you a student, or if we have 30 students in a class at the GSS class, and if they are actually tested very well, you will know those that have preponderance for cognitive education. Then you will have those that show very much inclination to fabrication of things.
It does not make them daft.
It doesn't make them daft.
But the society now make them look daft.
That is exactly what I'm saying.
In my office, I employ 2 people, very, very funny. One is from college education, this Ondo, and one is from OAU. That's when I started to know that there's a big problem. The OAU graduates, and this college education guy is carrying OAU. He carries OAU certificate, but they still feel more. That the other one still feel more superior than the other guy, because he said that guy is an ADME graduate that got affiliated with OAU. This is a big problem. This is a big societal problem that we have to look into. And
that is exactly what I'm coming to. You see, it's a very big problem, and we need to check those things. Look at me now. I finished my first degree from ADME College of Education. And then I carried Obafemi Awolowo University certificate in Adeyemi College of Education. But from there, I did my master's. It is not even master's, Master of Philosophy. I didn't go because if your grade, it depends on the grade you have that will make you do either master's or. So I was given admission into Master of Philosophy straight, and I performed very well in Obafemi Awolowo University. And I had University of Ibadan PhD. Tell me, am I inferior to any of my mates in the whole world? So the fact is, the person that is feeling superior, it is only when you test them that you know who is superior among them. But that there should be a kind of distinction. For instance, London School of Economics and Political Science in England. Will you say it is inferior to University of Birmingham?
No.
The graduates there, they produce PhD, the award professors. But look at Adeyemi College of Education now. As a college of education, it is still affiliated to Obafemi Awolowo University. It's supposed to be a primus, a pivot on which education system, colleges of education gravitates. It's supposed to be a substantive university of education on its own, that will award certificate for PhD and that will give professorial promotion to lecturers. But in as much as this issue of dichotomy is still there, the education there will still be in crisis, because people will be feeling inferior. And it's supposed not to be like that. Because no man is inferior to the other. First degree is first degree. Whether you obtain it in a university that is just 2 rooms, or you obtain it in a university that is as large as what was this place in Egypt? Cairo. So the same thing happens. But the fact remains that there should be distinction. There should be interest. There should be this what you call human capital investment. That the interest that people shows will make the government, to fix such a person into where he belongs, and it will function well. So when you create interest in certain things, and then you are given much aptitude to do it, then you will function well and you will integrate well into the society. And as a result of that, society will grow. But in a society whereby we have a polytechnic that they are doing mass communication, in polytechnic, universities of technology, they are doing medicine. You see all those kind of things. And it's sooner than later, you in colleges of education, they will be doing law.
Now, okay, don't you think like grading of human beings naturally in the society, we're not talking about the school setting, when we talk about positions, especially when it comes to employment, shouldn't be based on your grades? Because I've seen people who graduated with third class, and when they get to converse with you and when they get to practicalize most of the things they really know how to do, you get to realize that they are even better off than the first class people who are being given the offers.
Of course, of course. Now, the question you said.
Like, I'm asking you, don't you think people in the society should not be graded based on their grade from school, but rather their capability?
Of course, that is it. You see, how grade is being awarded in the universities is divided into three.
Okay.
Cognitive, affective, and psychomotive. You may not naturally be upstairs in the class, or probably because of what you are doing, either sport or sporting activities, you may be outside the class, and then there are ways in which you will do it, and then grade will be given to you. Then, setting of questions, ordinarily, in a class, the brain is not the same.
Okay.
And so there are some that have higher neurons of brains, and then there are some that have reduced number of neurons. So that makes them.
Now, don't forget to add the people that are wrongly placed.
Yeah.
you might want to add them.
Well.
That's my own area of interest.
Wrongly placed.
Yeah,
If
you place fish by the side of a tree to climb a tree, it will look all foolish.
Of course.
Yeah.
But
so when you take a monkey that knows how to find his way around,
you throw the monkey into the river,
it will look also stupid.
So
So we should try and include those people that are wrongly placed.
Well.
Yeah, because of jam dictates most of the places where people go to at the end of the day, which is not supposed to be. And I think the educational system is not structured in a way that everybody must go there. I didn't know so much weakness until I traveled for masters. Okay. And my guys always ask me a question: why do you want to put yourself this stress of doing maths, doing statistics, doing all of this? Because they don't do all of that. They do things like social works. They do things like teachers. Because if you look at the margin of payment, you will know it's so thin that you rather prefer what's easy for you to do.
Exactly.
Yes, you rather take that one that's easy. You know, you love children. You want to be around children. You love this. You want to teach. Then it pays well. People are not taking teaching because it's not lucrative. That's why people are not taking teaching. People rather take teaching if it's lucrative. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Because people love children naturally. But because the profession is not lucrative, that is why. So I beg you, sir, so you can continue. So that you can, I just want you to put my people that are wrongly placed.
It is true. Those that are wrongly placed also should be considered. But the fact still remains that the ratings in education is just cognitive, affective, and psychomotive. So then, apart from that, there are some people that, you know, naturally in the class, they may not perform very well. They may be the, if it is in athletics, they say there are some that pick their race slowly. And then when they get to 50 meters, they speed up. Just like this athlete. What's the name of this athlete now? But the fact is that there are some students, when they go to the class, they may not pick in the first year and the second year, but in the third year, they will pick up very well. But it is not the grade that you made in class that will be made, you know, to fix you. There are some that have third class and they perform better.
And also in this part of the world, what students naturally do is to read to pass the exams, not really to read to know.
That is why.
All right, so we just have to go on a short break. But this will go on a short break, and when we get back to the last lap of this episode of Burning Issues, we will be looking at the funding of the educational system in Nigeria. We will be right back. Keep watching. Welcome back to the last segment of this episode of Burning Issues on Captain Television. Now, you've heard all that Ajishola Mojeja said so far. And before I went on the break, I talked about us discussing the funding in Nigeria. We know on the educational system in quote has been underfunded so far.
Well, when you say underfunded, and then you're not taking away the place of how much corruption have eaten deep into our system, and we actually breeding what I call a ticking time bomb. Okay. That's what we are all sitting on, because if you fail to invest in education, and you think education is costly, try ignorance. Now it was. Let me tell you about what happened with this lockdown. You have failed to educate these people. Yeah. Now you want to communicate with them. How do you expect them to listen to you? you get? So it takes two minds that understand what communication does to communicate. Yeah, exactly. So these people, you have failed to educate them. Now you want to communicate to them. You have to sit at home. A right thinking person will understand that I have to sit at home. We have to save ourselves. But this person you have failed to educate, they will definitely not understand.
And even when you're telling them about coronavirus, they're like, what is coronavirus? Most of them can't even pronounce it right.
No, I before coming to the funding, really big time, I want to say that this coronavirus, the epidemic showcase, we actually change the narratives. Okay. Yeah, in the educational sector, how we can implement the virtual learning into what we have in the real system. It will all help. But coming to the funding system, if you look at the budgeting very well, education take at least a lower part of what
below what for UNESCO actually propounded that education should have about 26% of every economy of the nation.
Telling you that first thing first, you have to invest in these people. These are your assets. So until you understand that this is your asset, that's why I said earlier on, that until you understand that this population is an asset, it's either you harness this asset or you breed social vices for yourself, or you breed catastrophe for yourself. Exactly. And that is what is happening.
Because the population is there.
It's there. You can't just live here and go to Niger Delta that you want to do amnesty. That you want to go to the north and give Boko Haram something. A Yoruba group too will stand.
Of course.
Yeah, that was what I said. I think I was in university then where I projected that. When you give amnesty to Niger Delta, another group will start from somewhere. I never even knew that probably something will start from the north then. Yeah, but before you know it, different group. That now we have a whole lot. We even have what you guys call bandits now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you have an economic system at 2018 that about 10.3 people are out of school. From the age of 5 to 14. And those are the age that you need to educate. And you are not educating this group of people.
Those that will be working population.
You're not educating them. So I think there's a big error. And the little one that you've allocated, are they really getting to the grassroots? Are they really getting to the right people? Are they really getting to the lecturers that need to equip themselves? They need to research, because we have forgotten the place of research.
Of course.
Now it has come on us. It has shown on us that we're not ready for anything to come on us. And look, so that means that all our guys wearing jackets up and down, all our guys with stethoscope, all our guys that are working in houses, that means they are not doing anything. Because the only thing we are looking at now is herbal. So
even the pharmacopoeia of plants, and then the herbalists and others that are knowledgeable in the use of herbs and other things, did they give them power?
So we need to, like you said earlier, we need to learn how to take from this Western education, Western informations, but not just take them into a system and create on it, but how to domesticate all these things. That's the uniqueness of our economy. If we can do that. In 20 years ago, one cannot imagine that a China will be waging shoulders with the United States of America.
Now, still talking about China, the development in China, I feel it's not solely education. We know that education is really important, it's paramount in every society. But what I feel thrived China was individual creativity. And when I talk about individual creativity, I'm talking about the art, the craft of the masses. Because you just stay in your closet and you make an invention, and your government buys into the idea. You train people, multiple people with same idea, and at the end of the day, you come out with something new. But in this part of the world, whenever you get to do something or you make an invention, the government and the people in quotes tend to see it as inferior, and they don't even get to take it serious. They treat it with kid gloves, and as such, I don't think the economy in Nigeria is going anywhere.
Yeah, you said it all. You said it all, because in an economy whereby you don't encourage the people by way of funding. How many high school movies have you seen? Let's start from creativity. How many high school movies have you seen in Nigeria that come out of Nigeria? None. So look, check those places you've mentioned: the China of this world, the United States, the Europe of this world. Check these people from their SS1, GSS3. They are all coming together. We have this we want to showcase. They can they can walk to any bank and tell them, okay, fine, this is what we want to do. Then they project, okay, fine, this can do this can do this, and they get you guys on movie. Then the government do the promotion for them. And those are the things we imbibe here. We love so much. We watch them, but we never thought for one day that, oh wow, these are secondary school pupils. They are not just, but our own, we have the elderly one that will still wear school uniform just to fit.
Yeah.
But those are the things. Talking about production in China, China realized that we all have to drop our shirts and roll our sleeve and start hustling like dropouts. Because they understand where hunger is, then they efficient where they want to go in the economy.
Yeah.
Go to China today. 80% of them can speak English, but they will not speak English.
Yeah,
with you.
they will not.
They will not speak English with you. Then when they are producing, they encourage that child in GSS to do something. Infinite techno that you have today that you're proudly using. They were experiments.
Yeah.
They were school projects, and they cannot do those projects with their little funding. They must have gotten something support from government and all. So we can't continue to start clamoring like this until we have a serious government that's interested in what I call human capital investment. Or until we have that, we are just rigmaroling. We are just deceiving ourselves. We just talk history. We'll just live here. We'll talk and go back home. Then what change? What change will happen at the end of the day? Nothing. When I got admission, I first went to UK. I got admission. I was so happy, and then at a point, and I was talking to a classmate, and we were gisting, and he was asking me that, no, he got an alert, and the money entered about 800 pounds into his account, and for foreign students, we are supposed to pay about 8,400 before we can even get an admission in those schools. So we have those money. Then he was asking me that, come on, how did you get it? Because I understand that African people don't have money, and they barely have a life even. They stay on the tree. You get. So the point I'm trying to make here is that for going to school, they get stipends for going to school. These are programs that they definitely pay back at the end of the day.
Of course.
Yeah, over the years. So from that 800, you pay your rent. From that 800, you take care of yourself. You already have a range of what you need, depending on the city you are staying in. This can take care of this. This can take care of this, and all. So you have all of that. So can you compare my struggle that I'm in school, and there's one responsibility back home that I have to sort for myself, then I have to take care of myself, compared to a society whereby a government knows that this will be a menace on me in the future. It's talking about long run. If I do not take care of the generation now, because they are the leaders that will come tomorrow.
Very true. Now, you've heard all that he has said so far. What is your view on his points?
Yeah, the view is that where we have gotten it wrong, let us pick it from there. Let there be responsible government and responsive government. What I will add is this. What is a research? Because he said China research into things and then get a little stipend and support from their government. And from there now, everything goes on and it becomes a kind of a developmental progress for the country. But our researchers are jettisoned here. The 6334 education system was designed to bring out the technological aspect of the child. But where is it now? All the equipment are obsolete and dead. All the schools are dilapidated. Now, even those that manage to survive such a thing and further their education, you will look at it, there are myriads of master's thesis, master's dissertation, either MA or MSc or MPhil dissertations, PhD thesis. There are myriads of them scattered in the libraries and of the universities. Nobody is looking at them. Nobody is consulting them. Whereas it was the inaugural lecture of Professor Akimabo Ogunje that the government saw. Was it the government of Ibrahim Babangida at that time, and that brought about the setting up of a boundary commission in Nigeria, because he was an expert in boundary disputes and other things. So if all these researches, if all these dissertations, theses, and inaugural lectures of professors and PhD holders were harnessed together, I am sure Nigeria will have a very good things in the arts, sciences, and the technological aspect of it. But because they jettison all those things, then the developmental progress is not even coming, and it is gradually going back. So that is it.
Now, we all know that whenever you talk about education, you need a structure. And talking about structure, I'm talking about a conducive learning for education, for the students, unquote. And when you go to most of the institutions in Nigeria, you discover that the structures are in a dilapidated state. And how do you expect the students of such institution to sit, concentrate, and learn?
The fact is, there has been a kind of dichotomy. Apart from corruption, because corruption is another thing that we have to look at it. Now, certain amount is budgeted for the renovation of schools, structuring of schools, setting up of schools. But you look at it from the fact that this Oga will want to take a percentage, this engineer will want to take this and that. And before you know what is happening, if 10% is given, it will be about 3 or 4% that will get to its destination. That one is another disadvantage to education. Then another thing is that, is the government willing also to do that? Because public tertiary institutions, public primary schools and secondary schools are in a sorry state, whereas the private ones are thriving very well. So there's a kind of imbalance, and the imbalance was deliberately created to create a kind of class distinction. So in a situation like that, the UNESCO standard will not be met. For instance, the UNESCO standard said one lecturer or one teacher to 25 students. But is it like that? I have a class of close to 300 that I am taking in a conventional higher institution, university, for God's sake, a class of 300. So how will you manage, how will you measure effectiveness?
Okay.
And because a lecturer here will not see what is happening there. So government should try as much as possible to be responsible, to be responsive, and to address the situation.
Before we call it a wrap, between the year 1960 down to 1995, the nation witnessed about 84% enrollment of students in school compared to the colonial era. And we also know that was in 1986 that the standard of education in Nigeria started dropping because of economic issues that the nation faced so far. And we also know the everyday story in the educational sector, which is indiscipline and also the low standard in the educational sector in Nigeria. And my question finally is, what do you think is the remedy to this?
The remedy to it is this. You see, what causes it, if we can, build on it, One, corruption.
Okay.
Thank God that there have been stability in the government. But let there be policies and programs that will survive all odds. If corruption is put away, is put paid to, and if there are policies and programs, especially in the education sector, that will create balanced system, then all this, we call it albatross, all these albatross will become a thing of the past.
Thank you very much, Ajisola, for that. Now, Temitope, before we call it a wrap, what do you think about all he has said so far?
Yeah, very well. My side to all of this thing is that I just recommend to the government to stop building roads, to stop building structures, to start building minds,
Okay.
to start investing into people.
But human beings need structures too.
Yeah, I'll come to that.
Okay.
People will come back to build those structures that will fit the modern days.
Yeah.
People will come back to build the roads that will fit the roads of today. This is what I mean. People don't feel indebted to this country.
Okay.
People will ask you that, come, if I want to go back to Nigeria, one person can fit the road from
But
this
that's,
Ondo
that's the lack of nationalistic spirit.
It is
Because
not.
It shouldn't
It is
be
not.
about what your country should do for you,
no,
but it's what you should do for your
that's
country.
theoretical. What if you live in a country that has not really done anything for you, that you cannot beat your chest and say, okay, fine, this is the benefit that I've gotten from this country. Now we're coming back to, let's start investing into the people. There was a request from the presidency to the National House of Assembly requesting to take another 5 billion loan. So look at these things. You can get loans, but what are you doing with this loan? So if you get a loan like that and you're investing into people, you're investing into your movable assets. These are the kind of loan that are sustainable. To create policies that are sustainable, that is people inclusive, leaving no one behind.
Okay, thank you very much, Temitope. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on this episode of Burning Issues. Education is said to be the foundation of every society. But when the foundation of the society is faulty, what becomes the fate of the society? With us, we come to an end of this episode of Burning Issues on Kaftan Television. Do want to join us same time, same channel. I am Pleasure Imeriji. Thank you for watching.